Hi friends, this is Sarah Baldwin. I'm a Waldorf teacher. It's one of the frequent questions I get is how can I become a Waldorf teacher? Well, let me start by sharing my own journey, what led me to becoming a Waldorf teacher. I was a mother of young children. I think my son Harper was 4 at the time, and my younger son Will was a year old. And I had heard about Waldorf education. And when I went to visit a school for the first time, I stepped into the Waldorf kindergarten, presumably researching it to send my son Harper to. And I was so taken. There was an aha moment for me. Let me back up and say that at the same time, I had been thinking about going back to school to become a teacher. I didn't know what I wanted to teach or what grade level. But when I stepped in the Waldorf kindergarten, it was magical, and I just thought this is the right environment for children, with the smell of bread baking and little teacups on the table and little wool slippers all lined up by the door, and the children who were playing outside just looked so healthy with rosy cheeks, and it was so different from the mainstream preschool I had been teaching in. So during the kindergarten interview, which was supposed to be for Harper, I asked the teacher, how do you become a Waldorf teacher? And this was something I thought I would put off for a few years until my children were older, but she told me there was a part-time training that met for 3 weeks in each summer and then Saturdays throughout the school year. So that was something I could manage, and I ended up enrolling in the teacher training before my son Harper enrolled in Waldorf preschool. So that said, if you want to become a Waldorf teacher, there are 2 big commitments you have to make. You make a commitment to each student in your class to help them reach their highest potential as a human being. And the second commitment is a commitment to self-development and inner work that is integral to becoming a Waldorf teacher. And for me, that path has been so rich. There are trainings, there are part-time trainings, as I did, and there are full-time trainings. It's typically if you go full-time, it's typically a 2-year process. There's a foundational year in which you study Rudolf Steiner's worldview called anthroposophy, which I've talked about in another video. It means knowledge of the human being. So during that foundational year, in addition to reading Steiner's books and lectures and discussing them with your fellow students and teachers, you're also, it's like getting a Waldorf education yourself. You are participating in artistic activities. You're painting, you're drawing, you're doing handwork, making dolls. And I learned to embroider and crochet. You might be doing woodworking. I carved a wooden bowl for the first time. You're gardening. You're doing eurythmy, which is a form of movement that's practiced in Waldorf schools. All of those artistic activities really help you understand what it means to be fully human and to make use of all those capacities we are born with. And they're helping with your own inner development. So in your training, you will grow not only intellectually, but socially and physically and artistically. As I've said before in other videos, it was a life-changing experience for me and for my family indirectly. It really changed the path of our lives. We moved from Los Angeles to Maine and bought a farm, and it was enriching in so many ways. Now that said, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing what I did and enrolling in teacher training when you have very young children. It is a big undertaking and a big time commitment. In the Waldorf community, there's a phrase called Waldorphins, which Waldorf teachers know to be the children of Waldorf teachers who often get the short end of the stick, or not as much attention as the students in a teacher's class. There are times when I wish that I had discovered Waldorf education earlier before I had children and done the training. However, if you're like me, I felt so called to it, like a moth to the flame. Once I discovered it, I felt like it's what I'd been looking for my whole life. I felt like I came to know that children were meant to be my life's work, and I managed to make it work. So I hope that inspires some of you to investigate these options, to go on, become a Waldorf teacher. I just can't recommend it highly enough. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.